Riley, the NBF, welcome to the Grapple Theory podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. Hope you're doing well.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's great. Yeah, I'm doing just fine.
Good. That's always good to hear. Always good to hear. Let's start by talking about the year that you've had in sort of midway through 2023. It seems to be like 2023 is really been your year in terms of like, this is the year you've sort of like risen to prominence. Do you think that'd be fair to say, like from your perspective?
To be honest, probably just like from June last year to June this year, to be honest, like not just within 2023, but like within the last 12 months, it's been very odd because like when we came back after, restrictions had lifted, I was doing more tag stuff with Clarence. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I'm aware.
Saw that. Yeah. So it's, 2022, I decided I wanted to go it alone. Not because I didn't like the tag wrestling. I love tag wrestling. I always love an opportunity to have a tag match. But I was 19 and I was still sort of like a baby in the sort of wrestling world. And I wanted to like, go it alone. And I felt like I really surprised myself more than others, because I knew what I was capable of, but I wanted to know, can I do it alone? Or do I need someone behind me every now and again, just having my back?
I was going to say, it seems like you think like it was more of a like, I want to test myself thing rather than like, I don't like the tag wrestling. Like, can I do it on my own?
Absolutely, 100%. And I don't want to be one of those people who just stick to tags. I'm not a one-trick pony. And you saw that for yourself at Purpose. I'm very different to what people actually think I'm going to be. People think I'm going to be a high flyer because I'm small and I'm skinny. And that's far from the truth. And that's why I felt like I needed to open some eyes within the last year.
I was going to say, because like you say, like there's a couple of points you mentioned there that I want to get onto. But talking about your character is a really good way to start because, like you say, like you come out, and the way you come out, I think, like you say, like I think people that haven't seen you would be like, oh, he's probably going to be a high flyer, top rope kind of stuff. And you get in the ring and you are brutal. Like you really put the power in there. And like, again, like I mean this in the best way, like looking at you off the hand, like straight off the bat, like you wouldn't think that you're a power wrestler. Do you know what I mean? But you really put the force into it. And like you say, again, saw that firsthand for myself for the first time at Purpose, even though I'd heard of you and seen your work before. And I was just like astounded. I was like, my God, like the power you put into some of your moves and stuff, like the way you really go for it, it's ferocious.
I felt like I really needed to up the ante when it came to Purpose because I've wrestled in London before, but this crowd was very different to when I wrestled in London the last time. I felt like this was a more, they don't want to see gimmicks. They don't want to see character. They want to see a moment. They want to see action. They want to see something that will make them pop out of their chair. And to be honest, I got quite a few. And I was very surprised with the, I'm really surprised with like the reactions I got, not only from the crowd, but like from my peers backstage, from the promoter. Like I felt like I really outdid everything I've ever done. And for it to be like a pride show, it meant more than the world. It's not very often I come out with a flag and raise it high, considering I was a heel. But I felt like I didn't have to be a baby face to fly the flag. I could be anything I wanted to be. And like Sky Smithson on that show as well, doing the exact same thing that I was doing, but so much better. It meant even more because I look up to Sky a lot, and I look up to a lot of the people that was on the show. But to really go out and show that I'm not a high flyer, that I can grapple with the best, I can strike with the best, and I can make anyone in that room hate me if I wanted to.
Yeah, and you did. Like, you really did. I thought, like, genuinely, I thought for that match, I thought you were the perfect heel because the other three, like Tony and Amira and Sky, were all baby faces, all like, let's have a good time, let's party, all that. And you were just content on trying to spoil the party. And I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was brilliantly worked. I thought you and Sky particularly, I thought stole that match. I thought, like, and all credit to Tony and Amira, they're great, they're fantastic. But, like, I was wondering, because I had down to ask you before, if it's something you'd discussed, because it seemed like the focus not necessarily was away from them, but was on you and Sky, and that sort of like clash that you had, and it was all sort of leading around you two and that sort of thing. Like, is that something that was discussed before, or is that just sort of how it panned out?
I'm going to be honest, that was probably something that happened naturally. That was nothing that was really planned or discussed. Working Sky was such a wonderful thing for us both, because we're both non-binary people, and it's very rare for two people like us to be in the same room, let alone in the same match. And I really wanted to give Sky a really good showing of what they can do, because I know that they're still very new and they're still very, you know, I hate the term green, but like I think Amira said to me backstage before the show that this was only one in a handful of matches that they've had, and I could not tell. I really couldn't. I felt like Sky was really confident in what they could do. I really tried to implement my own things in there to help with Sky's own things, and then to have someone who is just as crazy as Amira and someone who's as just positive as Tony. It was such a good mix of people in there, and these are all people who I've never worked Amira, I've never worked Sky. Me and Tony were in a match not long before, but we never really got to do anything because it was a 7-person match. So, you know, we never really got to do anything. You know, so it was a really good opportunity to like work with new people and really show what we could all do. And Amira was just so giving, because Amira was like, this isn't for me, this is for you three. And she was really giving in that match. But, you know, I really wanted to like, you know, give her something. So to have me be the only heel and have three other faces, it just worked out well in our favour.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, because again, like, I bring up that match mainly because I've seen your like clips and stuff on YouTube things, on socials, but like that was the first time I'd seen you in person, and so like that's my main point of reference for you now. But like you say with Amira, like that's the really interesting thing, because Amira as well, like, I'm with you, I hate the term green as well, but Amira hasn't been doing it that long either, and like it always seems like from whenever people talk about having matches with her, that she's always the one that like wants to put someone else over, give someone else the chance, even though she deserves that chance herself. Like, she's always the one that's like, no, this is your moment. And like that seems really cool to hear that it was the same again with that one, because she's just like so happy when other people get over. Like,
you know, she was so lovely that whole day. We'd seen each other before. It'd probably been like a year or so at that point that we hadn't seen each other. So to see her again, it was really, really nice. And then I was having a really tough day, like, personally. And like before the show, after the show, like she was just there, like by my side, just like really being there for me. She's such a lovely person. I can't say a bad thing about her, like at all.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Even when she plays a heel, you want to, but it's tough.
Oh, she was so fun. And like I had trouble not breaking character during that match, because like when she came out to a RuPaul song, like Shoot Me was like, I was ready to dance, but I just couldn't. I had to hold it.
I was going to say, you held it like at the end as well, didn't you? They were all dancing, and like at the very end, you sort of like finally gave in. But like,
I had to.
No, it was brilliant. It was fantastic, and like I said, like I really thought, like especially in London, like especially because again, like someone like yourself isn't in London a whole lot. You're mainly based up north.
Around like East Midlands and Northwest.
Okay, see, I'm going to get hate now for saying north. If like depends where people define it, doesn't it? So as a Londoner. And like I was born and raised in Brighton, so as someone who's lived in the south my whole life, anything like above Watford is the north for me. Do you know what I mean?
The north.
But, like once the signs start coming up on the motorway where it says the north, I'm like, okay, there we go.
Oh yeah, I've really had to test my geography skills since being in the north a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Like,
have they got a bit better now? Are you a bit more confident? Being like, yeah, I can point that out on the map.
Yeah, I know where certain things are. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know how to get from Birkenhead to Liverpool. It's easy. You just get an underground tube. It's great.
That's the only one you used to worry about as well.
The only one.
I was gonna say, like, because again, I like that we went off a little tangent there, but like going back to what I was saying, I do love tangents. By the way, you'll learn that over the course of this. I love going on a good tangent.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, like I think like I've sort of forgot where I was going, but I think where I was going with it is as someone who doesn't get to see you a whole lot because you're not in London a lot, like loads. I would say like again, like I just thought that match was the making of you and Sky. I thought like I'd seen you both before. I'd seen Sky in person before as well, and thought they were great as well. But I thought that was the making of you. I thought like I saw you both in that ring, like going head to head, and I was like, these two are going to be big. Like that was genuinely going through. I was like, they've got something real special about them, both of them.
Sky is just someone who's so positive. Like throughout the day, I never see them like look even the slightest bit negative. Like they were just 100% fullest of themselves, like both in and out the ring. There's someone who's so different to what I see in wrestling. Like I don't see a lot of people like Sky who do the gimmicks that they do. And you know, I hope it's not the first time and the only time. Yeah. I love that it was a Pride show, but I'm not looking to stick around just for a Pride show. Like I hope I do come back to Purpose because that was just such a thrilling and fulfilling experience overall.
For sure.
And like to see that the people that they bring in, like Sunshine Machine, Michael Oku, you know, they bring in Nino Bryant, someone who we're the same age, and like that's someone who I'd love to square off with. Like I'd like to show people that, you know, there are people that are Nino's age that aren't Nino. There's someone like me, or you know, there's got to be other people around our age who can pull off the sort of, you know, audience that they want to try and entertain.
Yeah,
that's what I'd like to do. And then, you know, like after my match, I got such good critiques from Sunshine Machine and Oku. And like these are people who I've watched on Progress. Like Progress is a place that I'd love to go, whether that be like a year, 2 years, or whenever. But like to have people who are there right now and they're giving me the most positive critiques I could ever possibly receive, like that's year making. If I'm honest, like that's not just a day maker, that's a year maker. And like now that I've had these people know who I am, and now I want to work with them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got to delve deeper there. Like, do you remember any like specifics of what they said to you after, like what they said?
Obviously, TK loved my super kicks. The super kicks was the best like critique that I got, because I remember throwing both of them and looking towards like the hard cam, and I see in the corner of my eye TK just going mental at them. That's what I remember, and that was just like, you know what? Yeah, I feel like I've done something here now. And like I said, I'm not trying to stick around for a once a year Pride show. I'm trying to be like someone that you bring over as and when you want me throughout the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like that's the way I see these sort of shows. Is like, I think there may have been times in the past, maybe like sort of 10 years ago or something, where like if someone put on a Pride show, it would be like a gimmick, right? You'd have like all these LGBTQ plus wrestlers, and like that's the gimmick of it. Like, but I feel like now shows like that are more like, look at all the amazing talent we've got, and then those talent go out and like showcase themselves on other promotions across the country.
It's really a double-edged sword, I suppose, because like it's really good to have these like Pride shows that like showcase people who are identifying under the umbrella entirely, whether that be your sexuality or your gender identity, you know, or if you tick both boxes like I do. Like, it's just one of those things. However, I don't want to be one of those people who you bring in for those things. I'm happy that you've brought me in for it, but I want to show you that I'm worth just your normal standard show that you have maybe once a month, once every 2 months. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, I'd love to come back to Purpose. Absolutely, 100%. I did WAW's Pride show last year. I'm doing it again this year. but I want to be one of those people that you bring in whenever you need me for something.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's a goal right now. I want to show people that, you know, I'm more than just someone who flies my flag very proudly. You know, I don't need the flag to show you that I'm worth booking or that I'm worth, you know, 8 to 10 minutes on the card.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I'm more than happy with whatever spot people give me, but like, for me, when I was in that 4-way, that was probably like my favorite. That's been my favorite match so far, 100%.
And Mira said the same thing. I remember talking to her after the match, and she said that was her favorite match, like, of her career so far as well.
It was just a way for us to not be, because like I remember looking at the running order. I know I probably shouldn't cut kayfabe here, but we all do it. But I remember looking at the running order, and I remember having us we had like no direction whatsoever. We were like, we don't want anything specific with you. Just go out there and have fun. And that's what we did. We didn't have to do anything we didn't have to tick a box in that match. We just got to go out there. Like, it was basically just a gimmick match, I suppose. Like, show off your gimmick, have fun, dance at the end, and then main event time. That was our place.
And you could tell you did that.
Place to be on.
You could tell you did
so
that.
Much
like,
fun.
You could tell you were all having so much fun with it, and that was like part of the joy of it as well. But again, like you mentioned Sky Smithson as well earlier. Obviously, she was main event that show, and like someone who's been on the scene for so long and done such great work. And like I was gonna say, you mentioned like looking up to her, and like when you were coming through, like first starting your journey, like was she someone like, because I think like again that few years ago, because you've been in what, like 5 years now, 4 or 5 years.
I've been training for 10 actually.
I didn't even train in that long.
I've been training for 10 long years. But I've only really got my foot in the water within the last like 2.5 years.
Because I was going to say, like, especially if you've been training for that long, like, it seems like even the LGBTQ plus scene in British wrestling, indie wrestling, in wrestling in general, is so different now to how it was 10 years ago.
I'll be honest with you, 10 years ago, I did not know one single queer identifying wrestler, not one. Obviously, when I was questioning myself at a very young age, around my early teenage years, I literally knew no one who felt the way I did. So that was something that was very odd. And then, like, as the years got on, the older I got, the more usage of social media, like, you notice these things. I think the only 2 wrestlers that I knew that were queer identifying were Darren Young and Elijah Burke? Yeah, Elijah Burke.
Yeah.
Those were the only 2 that I knew. And then as the years got on, like within British wrestling, I heard about Visage, I heard about Cassius, I heard about Brad Slayer, I heard about Sky, I heard about pretty much everyone who needed to be known within the queer wrestling community. And then, and then I got to know Clarence, and then we got talking during COVID, and we were like, wouldn't it be fun if we just became a tag team? There's not a tag team that are full LGBTQ identifying that we know of, especially in the UK. So why don't we be the first?
Yeah.
And we were one of the first, and that's something that I will always be proud of achieving.
I was going to say that the conversation was just like, yeah, let's form a tag team. Like,
it was during the time where Pride Pro was announced.
Right.
And they said they were looking for tag teams. And they were like, are there any? There isn't. I mean, I think there was Priscilla and Mitchell Starr, but they don't really tag that often. And we were kind of like, okay, let's do something here. Let's do something about it. And we did. And then we got training with UBW. Clarence was already there, and I got introduced into UBW. And I started training with their Square One Academy. I got to meet the promoter, who's Paul Ash, who, if you know his history, he is a exceptional tag team wrestler. Like, the knowledge and the lessons that we were given by him were just like really fundamental to our chemistry. And and our natural chemistry between me and Clarence was just something noticeable, and that's why he started to book us. That's where it's like, oh, we like this, we love this. when we start running shows, we're going to use this. And on the first show, returning from COVID, I was valeting Clarence in a singles match, and the crowd just loved us. They ate us up, and more that we got on their shows, or like the more and more that we did any other shows, we were always remembered because we were just so different, and that's something I'll always like pride myself in. I don't care if you don't know my name, if you don't remember my name, but if you remember me for being in a tag team with Clarence at South Central, or if you remember me for wearing my pink Power Ranger gear, then I am made in the shade.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I mean, like that's the thing. It sounds like as well that sort of debut, not quite tag team if you're valeting, but you know, that debut moment seems to be like a moment that you say is like, oh, like it sort of rectifies, doesn't it? That like, oh, this was the right call to do this.
Yeah,
but I was going to say,
it was something that I was really happy with doing, and it's probably like being in a tag team with Clarence is probably one of my favorite things that I've done in wrestling so far.
I was going to say, like, did you like how long was it into your singles run? I guess when like you'd made that decision to be like, oh, like, I want to try and go it alone, see how I do. Was there a moment again like that one that stands out as like, oh, I made the right decision because of this moment?
When I first started training, I was wrestling in pro promotion called EAW in Kettering. It was based around Northamptonshire, but their training school is in a town called Kettering, which is literally a 20-minute drive from where I live.
Right.
So when I started training there, well, to be honest, how I got into wrestling is not really relevant to this. We'll probably get into that at some point. But when I started training there, the head coach at the time, his name's Danny Keaton. He goes by Danny West. So he was my trainer for years until COVID hit, and then the promotion went under. And then I get a call probably around November 2021. I get a call around November 2021, and it's from my old coach Danny, and he was like, I'm starting this promotion and I really want you to be a part of it. And I was like, yeah, this is cool, this is great. I'd love to start wrestling in my hometown again, or like wherever around the surrounding areas. I'd love to do that. It's great. It means I don't have to charge extras. It's great. I started training there, and he was like, we've got an opportunity. The first show, we want you to work with these two trainees. They're ready. They're just green, and they need someone who's been there and done that to help them. Like, we need someone older and more experienced to help them along. And I was like, that's great, that's perfect. We get to about a couple of weeks before the show, and we get to training, and he's like, it's going to be for our mid-card title. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay then. I was like, and we want you to have it. And I was like, oh, that's great. Which is weird, because at first they wanted to tag me and Clarence, because they wanted to use Clarence as well, because Danny saw our stuff on YouTube, and he was like, oh, we love this, we might use this. It was like, oh, great, that's another promotion in the bag for us to tag. It's great. But the more that he pushed this idea for me to be one of their top heels as a singles competitor, I was very... At first I was hesitant, because I was like, oh, I kind of like what I've got going on with Clarence and doing this really nice, sassy, facey tag team. It's so much fun. I love it. But the more that he spoke to me about it, what the plans were, it was like, okay, I'm convinced now. Let's do it. Let's go full throttle with it. There was even plans for me to feud with the ring announcer at one point, just give them a bit of like, they wanted me to be hated, and I was really up for it. They had me not tag, but have some sort of like Shawn Michaels Diesel relationship with this other trainee who, by the way, Stephen Pym is such an exceptional wrestler. I'll have to show you his stuff at some point. Okay, you'll love him. But they had me do this thing with him, and that was also something I really enjoyed doing, because I love my modern day wrestling, but I really love my old school wrestling as well. So when he told me about the whole Shawn Michaels Diesel dynamic, I was sold immediately. I was like, I love it. Let's do it. And then as things got on, I started to realize, okay, this singles heel thing is starting to work for me. I love it. I like it. Then obviously I stepped away from that promotion for reasons that I won't go into. It's not important. But when I started doing more heel stuff other places, I was kind of like, right, okay, something like this is going good. This is working. This is going well. So that's really how I started to do the more heelish sort of thing. That's when I started to realize that the singles heel style was more for me.
I was going to say, did it come quite naturally to you to be that sort of character?
I'm from Corby, so yeah, it did come naturally. Actually, it was like, it's an environmental thing. But when you grow up in a rough place like that, it's like it comes naturally to you to be quite snarly and disrespectful and all that.
Just nature, isn't it? It's what's the word? It's product of your environment, isn't it? Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
That's cool. No, I love that. And like, I was gonna say, like, again, coming through, like when you were just starting training, especially if it was obviously like 10 years ago. Again, landscape of the LGBTQ plus scene was very different back then.
It was very thin.
Yeah. Like, was there any like hesitation about it in terms of not more so like, oh, there's no one else doing it, but more so, I guess, the general perception of the past of how LGBTQ plus wrestlers have been portrayed, especially like say on TV and stuff like that. Like, was there any like anxiety to come in and be like, I hope I don't get labelled as just this?
To be honest, it wasn't really that. I mean, that is something that you think about, obviously. For me, it was more like I was worried about what my peers would think of me. I was worried about the backstage scrutiny, and trust me, I got it. But back then, that's part of like the backstage, that's part and parcel of the whole backstage sort of environment. It's very cutthroat. It's very like jab with like insults or like, things like that, especially towards people who are younger and green. And I was very green at the time. So like I had it coming. If I'm honest, that doesn't mean it's okay. I mean, now I kind of like sort of respect it. It made me have a sort of like tougher skin when it comes to that sort of thing. And now I completely own it. Like I sort of I make jokes about it. Like if someone backstage like goes like, oh, I'm gonna go outside for a fag, I immediately turn around and say, what did you just call me? And it always brings out a pop within them because they find it funny. Like I love to play along with it. It doesn't bother me. However, now that you've mentioned it, it's always something that wrestlers always think about, especially when they come out. They don't want to be seen as just that. Yeah. They want to be like it's something that a lot of us share. Some of us like to flaunt it. Some of us like it that way. Others don't. Me, I'm more in the middle with it. If me acting very, camp and feminine and all that, if that's what gets you to pop, then lovely. But I want you to judge me purely based on my ability in the ring. Yeah. If I can connect with the crowd, if I can make the person who's literally booking me and paying me, if I can impress them, then I'm happy. If I can at least impress one or the two, then I'm happy. Yeah. But it's never really bothered me about if people think of me a certain way because of my sexuality. Yeah. I was going to say, because like something you said there reminded me, like when we were just starting Grapple Theory, very early on, I think second or third week, we had Cassius on as our guest. And Cassius was talking about how, like, when they were starting out, it was very much like, oh, we want you on the card to be like the token LGBTQ plus wrestler. Yeah, you're the match that everyone goes to the toilet for. Or like just like you're that character. You know what I mean? You're the gay character, and that's it. Like you're not brought in for your skill or anything. And like they said that now that landscape is changing. I was going to say, do you think like you've seen it change and evolve? Like not that necessarily like it's more accepted, but like kind of like that it's more accepted, like both from the fans and in the back as well. As in, it's not just a token thing to be like an LGBTQ plus wrestler anymore. I mean, it's always like, I don't know. I mean, I've never really like noticed any sort of change because like, whenever I go to shows, it's not something that I just go out to notice. Like I don't go to a show and it's like, oh, am I going to be the only gay one here? That's never really something that's played on my mind. Sure. I mean, I do like see it, like, especially at shows now where there's like there's more of us. But I think it's because, like, in the day and age of 2023, it doesn't matter if you are gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, or whatnot. It's like you're there to do a job, and you're there to wrestle, and you're there to work, and you're there to perform and entertain. Like, but I think that if this was, like, let's say, like 5 years ago, that is something that you would try and notice. I think it's because the landscape back then was so thin and broad, and narrow, sorry. That it's like, but now that there's like a wide range of us who do so many different things and present in so many different ways. Like, there is Tony Wright, there is me, there's Sky, there's Aiden Steen, there's, you know, there's people like Lucia Lee, Harley Hudson, you know, there's people, you know, there's a lot of people that do identify with the community, but present and identify in so many different ways that it's just not something you actively look for.
Yeah.
It's just something that's there, and you know it, and you appreciate it, and then you move on.
Yeah, like you say, like, you look at them all, like, and yourself, and, like, everyone you mentioned, and you're like, they're just good wrestlers. Like, nothing more than that. Like, they're just fucking great wrestlers.
Yeah, like, we're all gimmicks at the end of the day. Like, that's the whole gist of it. We're all there to be a gimmick, and we're all there to wrestle, you know, no matter what. And that's something that's just something, like I said, if someone's part of the community, that's something you know, it's something that you know about, it's noticeable, it's something you accept, or if you don't accept it, then you learn to, and then you move on.
Yeah.
That's it. You're there to wrestle.
Exactly. And that's what's, like, again, so refreshing, and so, like, what I love about the scene at the minute is the fact that it sort of subverts that old school mentality of what, like, an LGBTQ plus wrestler is so much, because all those names you mentioned, and loads more, no one is the same. No one has the same character. Like, every single one of those names you mentioned is all just, they're all completely different from one another in terms of their character.
Like, you take people, look at, right, so you've got Visage, you've got Priscilla. They're both drag queen wrestlers. They both do drag when they wrestle, but they are so different in so many different ways. Like, it's like, people think, I think back then, LGBTQ wrestlers were put in such a very, very small box. But obviously, once, you know, we kicked the door open right after restrictions ended, we were kind of like, no, this is not the box that we're going to be in. If we are going to be in the box, then we're going to make that box bigger than it's ever been in its fucking life.
Yeah.
Like, but we don't want there to be a box. But if you want to put us in a box, we're going to make the box so big.
I think it's fair to say that the box has burst now, isn't it? Like, the box has been so filled that it's just burst open. Absolutely.
But what I want to see now is an LGBTQ world champion. That's what I want to see. I really want to see someone who's up there go for a world title or become world champion. Like, you know, I don't know if this is beyond your knowledge, but Brad Slayer is the only LGBTQ wrestler to challenge for the NWA title.
I didn't know that.
He challenged when Nick Aldis had it. It was when WAW did their big massive Fightmare show.
No, I remember it, but I didn't know he was the only one.
Yeah, Brad Slayer is the first and only LGBTQ wrestler to challenge for the NWA title, and like at that point in time, that was like a fever dream to people like us. Like, that is almost like insane to even think of, but like someone like Brad Slayer, and obviously through the power of the Knight family, made it happen. And that is something that is like insane. Yeah. And WAW is such, like, they're probably one of the biggest allies to the wrestling LGBTQ community. I remember doing their WAW show last year, and I just felt so welcomed. And to be asked to do it again this year, to be one of the first people asked to do it this year, it was so like, it just feels really fulfilling when someone does that for you.
Yeah.
So right now, I really want to see an LGBTQ world champion, no matter what they identify as. I just really would love to see it.
That would be cool. That would be epic. And that's, like, again, like another milestone, another, like, thing checked off, another, like, you know, we're making progress moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be epic. That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. And like we spoke about a bit about your character before, it leads nicely into our first little feature we've got here, which is called "What's in a Name," and it's like it's all about sort of like what makes Riley the NBF, right? So I like to describe it as like for one night only, you've got to pick your own stand-in, who's got to be your character. They've got to be you essentially for a night. What does that person need to have to be Riley the NBF?
Well, obviously they need to have like somewhat of a runway walk. Like they've got to have the legs to walk. Like this is where I get really camp now. You're gonna love this. They've got to have the walk. They've got to have the talk. Like I'm not just like if you're Riley the NBF, you can't just talk the talk. Like you need to walk it as well. Like if you walk the walk, then you can be mouthy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
It's all a confidence thing, right? Isn't it? I imagine it all sort of flows from there.
yeah. Have a good sense of style. I mean, like you know, you think that pink Power Ranger gear was done by accident? Nah, that was concepted by me perfectly through the power of Sue Thompson, who was an exceptional gear maker, by the way. And I think really just like sheer confidence, and this may sound like a negative, but they have to have the audacity. I think I it's gotten me in trouble sometimes. However, I pride myself in being outspoken and not having a filter because, you know, not mincing my words and not saying what I truly feel has never gotten me anywhere. Whether people like it or not, I am going to say what I really believe in. You know?
Yeah.
You know, if you're hurt by it or if you're bothered by it, thank you. Next.
Yeah. No, I love that. And that's a great attitude. That's a great attitude to have. Like, and I was going to say, like, you talked about, like, I guess the Power Ranger gear as well. That's something I had down to ask you as well, because I'm going to put you on the spot now. Because obviously you're the Pink Ranger, right? And I think at any given time there's 5, isn't there? So you need 4 more. Who else?
Okay,
who
so
else is in
your
who's in your Power Ranger team? Like, you can pick anyone from BritRes. Who do you want there in the trenches with you as the Power Rangers?
Who's my team? Right.
Yeah, we're going the BritRes Power Rangers reboot here for TV.
Okay. So I'd have to say Harley Hudson has to be the second Pink Ranger. I can't put Harley Hudson in any other colour than pink.
I was going to say, you might need to change. You might need to be the different colour.
No. There's been 2 Red Rangers on a team before. Why not?
There has. You're right.
Blue. Ooh, wow, you really have put me on the spot.
I like to put people on the spot a little bit. Yeah.
Blue. Tony Wright. I've got to have Tony Wright as my.
Tony Wright could pull the blue off for sure.
Yeah. Yellow.
Oh, I know an answer for that. I'm just curious if you'll say the same person as I.
Go on.
No, I need you to answer first, and I'll let you know if it's the same person. Because yellow, one person straight away springs to mind.
Oh, that is a difficult one. Who would yellow be? Do you want to know something? I'd have to say Terry Is It.
That's very different. I thought the first name that popped into my mind was Lucia Lee.
Oh my god, yes, Lucia Lee. I love her Kill Bill gear. It's great. I love it. Sold. Because here's the thing. When I saw her wear that yellow gear for the Kill Bill gear for the first time, I literally went into my conservatory where all our DVDs are and pulled out Kill Bill. It was great. I had to watch it.
She brought out gear, we talked to her about it on the podcast. So I said to her that was one of it's still to this day one of my favourite promo shots of a British wrestler.
I mean, it's very on board with her cult classic gimmick because Kill Bill is a cult classic.
Yeah.
It's just something that I would have never thought of.
But what about, so go on, you mentioned Terry Is It as well, so why them?
Terry Is It is just someone who's he's also into Power Rangers as well, at a very young age. I remember driving up with Warren Banks, David Grant and Terry Izzet to the last Wrestle Island show, and we just talked about the most nerdiest shit possible. And Power Rangers came up into conversation, and like just like the way that he was enthusiastic about it, I was just like, you know what, you cool, and that's why he's yellow on my team.
You got one more. You got 2 pink, blue, and yellow. So you need a red or a green. It can be either.
Red. Who's my red? Who is my red?
I have a think as well. I'm trying to think as well.
Yeah.
Who would suit the red?
Do you know what? Because they're like such a leader for the community, it has to be Brad Slayer. It has to be Brad Slayer for me.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
Yeah.
It's a good shout. I think that's a really, that's a kick-ass Power Rangers team as well. Like,
yeah.
No one would stand a chance.
No.
Or you just have Harley shout at them and they'd run off.
Yeah. Just have Harley shout. Lucia can put her fist to their chin instead.
Yeah.
I can just kick, and I can throw a mean super kick at putties.
Oh, mate, your super kicks, like, they're lethal.
Yeah.
Like, you have someone on their ass in no time.
Love that. So,
I love this.
That has to be my team.
Any sort of TV exec working this. Oh, wait, Evie Madden does TV work, I think, for their shoot job. Evie, if you're watching this, if you know a TV exec, let's pitch this. We got it. We got it right here. This is a great show.
Because, you know what? I love Evie Madden. Evie Madden was, when I was at, like, UBW shows and Square One shows, she was always there and she was so lovely. I'd have to have her as my Alpha or Zordon. Yeah. Or both. Both.
Yeah, she's that good. Played both.
I can't wait for her to come back. She has so much to give to wrestling.
She does.
It's really sad that she's gone, but I know that she's doing something so much better and so much beyond this world. But like, I can't wait until she comes back.
Oh, she's one of those ones as well. Deserves that chance to really get like a big moment. Do you know what I mean? Like that would be that would be sick. That'd be good. What about? Oh, we haven't talked about villains. Who's the villain? Who's your like?
Oh,
your team's
my Lord Zed.
Yeah.
Who's my Lord Zed? Or
who's your ultimate rival that you've all got to take down?
Here's the thing, because I'm such a villain, I felt I can't pick anyone who's such like a good baby face to be a villain.
You could turn on them in the first episode. You turn on the rest and become the villain.
Yeah. You know what? Sky is sure.
That's a perfect character mix actually as well. Like that's a proper like flip of it.
In my head, they're the villain.
Yeah, I like that. Actually, you picked like generally quite a good heel team as well. I hadn't really thought about that. It's actually that suited it very well. Where it's just that perfect role reversal.
Yeah.
No, I like that. Someone get it made. We got to get it made. That would be brilliant. That would be great. Awesome. Well, that brings us nicely onto like our sort of like closing get to know you feature as well of the podcast, which is called Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler. So I'm going to throw some questions out there to you, and you let me know what comes to mind, and we'll discuss each one a little bit as well in depth after. But this is sort of like this is like a get to know you out the ring kind of thing. So the first question is, what is your favourite post-pinfall pig-out?
Post-pinfall pig-out?
Yeah, like your cheat meal after a show.
Oh, right. Mackey's, mainly because I'm an employee, so I kind of have to promote the business as and when I...
Sure. You can't be mentioning KFC or Burger King or something, that'd be...
Oh, if it's not Mackey's, then KFC 100%.
No, sure. What'd you get from both?
Currently, because it's the new promos, I get the Caesar and bacon wrap.
Nice.
Normally I just get a Big Mac without the pickle.
Without the pickle?
I can't stand it. Right, are we going to fall out here?
Oh, I mean, that's a little controversial. I was going to say, because you just bigged up Amira so much, and this was a while ago, but when we had Amira on the podcast, she goes overboard with the pickle. Oh my God. She was I think her exact quote was like, all the pickles.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you, like, someone once ordered that at the till, and I just looked at them blankly. I was like, what do you mean all of them? But yeah, Amira does seem the type of person who would ask for all the pickles.
Yeah, so like you might fall out with her over that, but like me a little bit, but still like I don't go ordering extra pickles, but I think the amount of pickles on a Big Mac is a good amount of pickle.
No, ma'am.
No, I mean I used to say no pickles when I was like 5, but
yeah, no, it's stuck with me from my first Mackies up until now.
You've had it. Have you had it with the pickles? You've had it with the pickles to know you don't like it.
I have, and I glitched immediately.
You're like, oh no!
It was awful.
That's fair enough. I appreciate that. I respect that. The next one is it's the classic like, what would your like death row last meal be?
Oh, my death row last meal. That is a tough one, actually.
You can go all out here, remember, it can be... Everything's on the table.
You know what? I guess it has to be a good old stag bowl. I love it.
Nice. Big old pile, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. It's an interesting shout as well, because I like spag bowl, but I don't know if I pick it as my last meal. Like, it's a good meal.
I love pasta.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, pasta is just my comfort food.
Nice, yeah. I get that. Now we're going to fall out, because... I think pasta's overrated. Like
you know what? I will agree to that. It is overrated, but at the end of the day, what if it's rated that well?
I suppose, yeah. Like what you mean is like, yeah, it's so good that like, of course, it's gonna be overrated, but it's still rated.
Yeah,
like, yeah. But in my mind, see, I'd still pick every other carb over pasta, like bread or potato or rice. I'd all pick over pasta.
Yeah, for me, it does go pasta then rice.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think I go rice first, then bread, then potato, and then pasta.
Oh, and pasta last. Oh, yeah, we are going to...
Yeah. Like, I like pasta. It's good enough, but I prefer everything else.
Yeah.
But the next one's not about food. The next one's the song that gets you the most hyped.
Ooh. First ever entrance theme, Applause by Lady Gaga.
Yeah, that is a banger. Like,
I think I'm gonna have to bring it back at some point.
I think that's a really Riley song as well. Like, I feel like that suits your character so well.
Yeah, I used to love using it, but then I went for more badass songs. But like, at some point, I'm gonna have to bring it back.
Yeah, that'll be good. Can't wait for that day. That'll be good. That'll be real good.
Yeah.
The next one is the movie that I'd show the locker room.
Movie that oh wow, okay. Perks of Being a Wallflower. I love that movie.
That's a really good choice.
I love that movie.
I feel like that's an underrated film. Like,
yeah. When you think of people like Luke Lemon, you think of like Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
That's the movie that you think of. But for me, it's Perks of Being a Wallflower.
I think that's a really good choice. It's Emma Watson, isn't it? I think that's why it's underrated. I think because Emma Watson's so synonymous with Harry Potter, I feel like her being in that makes it underrated, because everyone you look at it and you're like, oh, that's just Hermione Granger, but like
it was one of the it's probably one of the only movies I've seen that isn't Harry Potter that she's been in.
Oh, okay, that she's been in. I thought you were just going to say in general.
No, I've only seen Harry Potter
and Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's all you watch constantly, just on repeat. You finish Harry Potter, all 8 films. Yeah. Next week it's Perks of Being a Wallflower. The week after that, back to Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, back. It's a constant cycle.
To be fair, like, I act as if that's funny, but literally mine and my partner's movie cycle is Harry Potter, and then we're on to Star Wars, and then we're back to Harry Potter. Like,
oh, now that you've mentioned Star Wars, you're going to get me on a tangent.
Go on.
I can't wait until the Ahsoka series.
I can't wait until the Ahsoka series.
Sorry. Let me rephrase that. I can't wait until the 5th season of Rebels.
Better. Much better. That's basically what it's going to be, isn't it? That's basically what it is. It's season 5 of Rebels.
I'm pretty sure Dave Filoni practically confirmed it.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure, I went to a couple of days of the Star Wars celebration in London this year.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm pretty sure I remember him saying something like, or, like, one of the actors saying something like that in their interview. Yeah. They were like, yeah, it's basically Rebels, like, as in, like, oh, it's just continuing that.
Yeah. I'm so jealous because when I saw Rhea O'Reilly was there, I was like, damn, like I really want to be there.
I walked past Rhea, and it was one of those moments where, like, you know when you walk past someone and it doesn't clock till like 2 seconds later who you've walked past?
Yeah.
And I was like,
a
shit,
spider.
that's Rhea O'Reilly. And I looked back to say hi to her, and she's just gone in the crowd. I have no idea where. But, like, yeah, I saw her there, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, when I saw that she was there, I was like, damn, I really wanted to go.
It was good.
Even though even though I forgot it was in London, to be honest.
It was busy, but it was good. I saw, I saw
like some of the interviews and stuff like that, like that they post on YouTube. Like,
no, the highlight for me was I got into the Clone Wars panel, 15th anniversary Clone Wars panel.
Yeah,
and that was special. That was really cool.
I love that.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait until the Ahsoka series. I'm literally counting down the days.
It's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be like all the shows, like Disney. Like people say, Disney has sort of ruined the movies, like with the sequel trilogy. And to an extent, I agree. To an extent, like I actually think 7 and 8 are pretty good. I think 7's a rehash of 4, but it's okay. And I think 8 is really strong. But Rise of Skywalker lets everything down.
Yeah, I don't talk about that one.
No, it ruins it. Like if they continue, like it's all muddled. It's all muddled. But I actually think, controversially, I think Last Jedi is a really strong film.
I do actually like that one. I mean, I like it's like your childhood relived, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know for me it's like different because I wasn't born in the 70s or 80s, but like I still watched those movies when I was younger. So
yeah.
It's like so seeing like Carrie Fisher and then Mark Hamill and all that, like.
It's all the nostalgia, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a nostalgia trip.
No.
But, I cannot. I think the new movie is coming out in like another 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, they got another new movie, and but all the shows Disney have put on have been really strong. Like Kenobi was weirdly my least favorite, even though I thought it was really good. But like Book of Boba's good, and Mandalorian's really good. Like everything show wise they're putting on is really strong.
I did watch Andor, and I didn't really like it.
Andor takes a while to get into. I thought Andor dragged a little because, have you seen it all?
No, I haven't. I've completely forgotten what's gone on as well. I probably should rewatch it. I won't
give you spoilers, but there's like halfway through the series is when it starts to get really good. Like there's one particular episode. That I can't spoil because I don't know how much you've seen, but there's one particular episode where it really hits. You're like, oh shit, this is the time things are going down, and from then on it's great, but it takes a while to get to that moment.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, it's basically just like it's more Mon Mothma's story. From what I heard.
It's a little of both. Yeah, it's basically Andor's story and Mon Mothma's like the side story.
Yeah, I don't mind that though. It's very rare that we get to see like a rebellious senator.
Yeah.
Have exactly. That, story arc. I don't mind that.
I think if you watch it, you'll see like her story that they give to her is sort of like the story Padme deserved.
Yeah, I heard that too. But for me, I really enjoyed Mandalorian. I really hope that the 4th season is where it more becomes about Bo-Katan. I'd really love to see that.
Yeah, I love Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan is just...
It certainly looks that way anyway.
Yeah.
And then obviously everyone loves Ahsoka at the end of the day.
Yeah, Ahsoka's that one, isn't it? Like, where they proved they knew what they were doing there, because she was a character that was so hated the first couple of seasons of Clone Wars. And now she's like elite, like god tier character. Yeah.
It's because like people like... Oh, what is that saying? Like, people enjoy what they know.
Yeah.
Like, obviously because back then it was very new and people are resistant to new things, but now it's something that they know, they like pop for it every single time that they see it. But to be honest, I just really hope that they find Ezra. If they find Ezra, then I'm
they will. Ezra's got to be it. Ezra's got to be
surely if if we see Thrawn.
If we see Thrawn, we've got to see Ezra, right? Like, there's no way they're not necessarily together, but like, there's no way Thrawn made it out and Ezra didn't.
No, there isn't. No, it doesn't make any sense. But like, I just get like really, marky about those sort of things.
Oh, same.
I love being a mark for like wrestling and Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm a massive mark for both as well. Like,
I love it.
I
love it.
It says a lot that like the thing my partner does that pisses me off most is because she knows I hate it, because she knows Star Wars. Like, she doesn't like it to the extent I like it, but she knows Star Wars well enough to know the characters. And the thing that pisses me off the most is that she'll always like hybrid Count Dooku and Mace Windu and say Count Windu, and I hate it so much. I'm like, that's not anything. That's not. That really gets to me. What's your favourite movie? Like, this is the key question then. What is like the best Star Wars movie in your mind?
I guess it has to be like Attack of the Clones, because I love the big like arena fight scene.
It's not the best movie. No, it's a good scene, great scene.
Yeah,
but I'd say Rogue One. Rogue One's my favourite Star Wars film.
Oh yeah, that Rogue One was so good. I loved that one. It was very like odd to watch at first because it's like, it steps away from what
a Star Wars film is.
Yeah, what a Star Wars film is. It's like, it's more, you think they'd sort of like blend that in with like a main story, but like no, it was such a good story and I loved it. Han Solo I didn't.
I didn't like Solo as much. No.
I really hope there's a payoff, because like they had like this scene where Darth Maul was at the end, and it's like, okay, where does this go?
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Because like that's something as well you could flow into like, or could have been flown into like Rebels, couldn't it? Like you could have a second Solo movie that flows into what's happening in Rebels at that time.
Yeah. So I hope there's a payoff with that. If there isn't, then
I don't know if there will be. I don't think there will be, because like Solo sort of flopped. I don't know if they'll do a sequel to it.
Nah.
But no, that's fair. Like, love a good Star Wars chat though. Love a good Star Wars chat. I've completely lost where we were. Oh, here we are. Okay. Yeah, back to the questions. The next one's it's not so much of a throwback for yourself. Like, it's a throwback generally for like the older guests we have on. But like, it's your first job.
My first job. Okay. I used to work at a Starbucks drive-thru when I was 10, 16.
Nice. Classic sort of food services. Classic first job.
Yeah. Traumatic, but
it always is with food service. Was there like a particular moment though, or like
oh yeah, this one person complained that the coffee wasn't hot enough, but like, even just like, sometimes if coffees are really hot, we like double cup it, so like, and then we give them like the heat mat, so like it doesn't burn them. But like, even through like 2 like cups, my hand was sore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what was in that coffee, but it might as well have been acid. Like, it was like that hot. Like, it was actually burning my skin.
This person, that was the moment they realised this person has no feeling in their hand. Like, they just couldn't feel it.
Like, where are your taste buds? Like, is there no, like, are your fingertips burnt off? Mine surely are. Like, what else?
I feel like that sort of thing hardens you.
Someone asked for a latte and they complained that it was milky, and it's like, well,
do you know coffee? Do you understand?
Yeah,
like,
I'm not. So, someone just came in and asked for a coffee, and I just stared at them blankly for 2 seconds before I was like, well, what coffee do you want?
Just coffee. Give me any coffee.
I just want piping hot coffee. I want it to burn my tongue and my esophagus, and I want it now. That's how I imagine people live if they just go to a coffee shop and just ask for a coffee.
Yeah, just coffee.
I think that's the barista in me. That's just the things that enrage me.
we know like how to roll you up in the ring now as well. Then.
Yeah.
This is like, it can be the ultimate arc of like Riley versus Debbie Cattell with her coffee, and she can just be complaining about you about the coffee.
I'd love that. I'd throw it in her face, but
that'd be good.
Yeah. Oh, Debbie Cattell. I never thought that'd be a dream match for me.
There you go. That'd be a good one. I think that'd be a really good one. Yeah. That'd be cool. Next one gets a little deep because it's your greatest fear.
Oh, geese.
That's an interesting one.
The way I walk to work, I come out my street and I walk through this little wood bit, and then I have to cross the road into this It's called the boating lake. That's what it's universally known as where I'm
Right.
from. And it's just swarmed with geese. And, like, they're vicious bastards. Like,
Are they?
oh, yeah. Evil. So, whenever I walk, I try to avoid it at all costs. Because they're just vicious. And, they do this thing where they flap their wings and run towards you.
Oh, that's
and then
terrifying. Yeah.
And honestly, hairs on my skin just stand up. It's just not for me.
No, I get that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my greatest fear.
No, I like you say, with your character as well. It's like product of the environment, isn't it? They've been brought up in that environment, and so they're just naturally more vicious.
Yeah, my entire gimmick is based on being non-binary and, having the best walk and, having the hardest hit, and also revenge on geese.
That's what it's all built to. The whole story arc of your character is just revenge on the geese. But I get it. Again, again, living in Brighton my whole life is like the seagulls are a product of that environment, right? Because they've spent their life stealing chips and stuff on the pier. And so the seagulls in Brighton are just naturally more vicious than anywhere I've ever seen them in the world.
The more I've been up here, the more, the geese are small where I'm from. Like, they're just standard geese. In here, they're legendary Pokemon. They're just, massive. They're, what do they eat here? It's I remember just, walking through Liverpool city centre, and I remember one being this, nearly up to my hip.
Fucking hell.
It was massive.
That's mad. Yeah, that's a big goose.
And not these, the seagulls. It's and then some of the, and because where my partner lives, we're on the top floor of a flat block, and they sit on the ledge. And
shit!
And they literally come right up to the window. It's honestly scary around here.
That's the geese and the seagulls. You don't want them to team up. If they ever team up, you've had it.
No.
Then all the Brookenhead is doomed.
It's awful around here.
Yeah.
It's quite literally wild over here.
Well,
but yeah, geese is my biggest fear by far.
No, I get that. Well, that leads us on nicely though to the next one because it's a more positive spin because it's your favourite animal.
My favourite animal. Ooh, I really love chickens. They're just so you can just pick them up and they won't do a thing. They'll peck you, but it's just like a small peck on the hand or whatever, right? But one time me and my partner went to this stable farm because his mum has a horse. It's like a little community over there. They all know each other because that's where all their horses and all their pigs and all their wildlife live. And there's a chicken pen, and he just got in there once and he just started holding the chickens. I'll have to send you the photo if I can find it.
That's adorable. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's, chickens are I think cute. I've never really seen them as too cute, but I get what you mean. They're very cuddleable if that's a word.
Yeah, they don't bother anyone.
No, that's cool. I like that. I long for the day that someone says the same animal that I think, which is red panda. That's my elite. That's always my elite.
Yeah, when red pandas stand up, that's kind of cute.
That's
I like
adorable,
that. When they just stand up on 2 feet, it's that's cute. That's cool.
Yeah, I like them. They're you can't have them as a pet, but I sort of one I'd want as a pet.
No. When people try to domesticate wild animals, I always think to myself, oh wow, you're in hard life.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, isn't it? It's far too much work. I wouldn't be bothered by it. I'd just be like, nah, that's not for me. I'll see him at the zoo. The next one is a wrestling one because it's your favourite match stipulation. And for the purposes of this, a singles match counts as a stipulation. It doesn't have to be anything wild, but it can be something wild.
I guess I kind of if it's a 4-way, 3-way, any multi-man type of match. If it's elimination, I love it because I like seeing who's gonna be the last one standing.
Yeah.
And 2 out of 3 falls in a singles match. I like seeing the whole competition of if both of them have a fall, who's going to be the one to get the last one? That's my sort of thing. I love things like that.
Yeah. My hang up with 2 out of 3 falls matches is that more often than not, it is that. Do you know what I mean? You very rarely see it go 2-0.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like they're a little predictable. It might as well just be 1 fall because it's going to be 1-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if someone books matches like 2 out of 3, I really pop when a 2 out of 3 falls match is 2 straight pins for someone, because I'm like, oh, that really subverts the expectation.
Yeah, you don't really see that a lot, do you?
You don't.
I think guess that's something that needs to be done then.
Yeah, I'd like to see it more. Anyone out there who wants to let me fantasy book, just let me know. Just let me know. There's only a couple left. The next one's my favourite place in the world.
Favorite place in the world? There's this really nice cocktail bar in Camden called All About Eve.
Oh yeah.
It's really nice there.
Nice.
Their zombie cocktails there are so nice.
They have a zombie cocktail?
Yeah, it's called a zombie. I don't know what's in it, but it's like really fruity and like definitely vodka in there. I can tell that's in there.
Nice.
But that's probably one of my favorite places to go.
That's cool.
Definitely. But yeah, that place is really nice. It holds a lot of like special meaning to me and my partner. It was one of the first places we went out. Like that wasn't either one of our homes. So it's just one of those places that are really nice.
Nice. I love that. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm not much of a drinker myself, so I've walked past it. I know what you mean, but like I've not been in. It looks cool though.
Where is it? It's behind the Wetherspoons, I think.
Yeah, it's
somewhere.
I'm trying to think where it is based on the station, but I'm in Camden in a couple of days. I'll walk past it then, and I'll remember.
Yeah, it's a really nice little place.
And the final one is your dream holiday destination.
I would really love to go to New York City.
Nice.
I think that's a common one, obviously, because everyone sees it and like everyone would love to be there. But yeah, I think New York would be a nice place to go.
Yeah, I think that's like a lot of like bucket list stuff, isn't it? Like yeah, we get Japan a lot as well. That's the main answer we get here, to be honest. Is Japan.
Oh yeah, Japan. That is also a place that I'd love to go to because it's just like it looks so like that's a different world over there.
Yeah,
it looks like a different type of world over there.
Yeah, you get something completely different. Like New York, you could probably like find your way around pretty easy. Do you know what I mean? You know what to expect.
Yeah.
But like Japan, you'd be like, fuck.
Yeah, where am I?
Exactly. No, I love that. That brings us on nicely to the end of the chat and our closing question. And it's sort of a new tradition we've got here, where our last guest leaves a question for our next guest. And I'm not allowed to tell you who the guest is that left the question, but
okay.
I suppose you could just go through our YouTube and figure it out. But The question you've been left, and it's not necessarily a wrestling question. This one isn't a wrestling question. We've had some weird ones. I think this one's quite normal based on some of the ones we've had. But the question you've been left is, if you had to start a sport, as in take part in one, you don't have to invent a sport. But like, if you had to start playing a sport from scratch, and it wasn't one you'd played before, what would it be?
Oh wow! Okay, that's a really weird one. I really love the movie Cool Runnings, so I think I'd want to try bobsledding.
That's a great answer.
I think, I just really I love the movie Cool Runnings. Like, I remember my dad first showing it to me like years and years ago, and I used to find it hilarious. So I think bobsledding would have to be the sport that I'd have to try.
I love that. That's great. Like, that's a really weird answer, and I really like it. Yeah. That's very cool. We got the BritRest Power Rangers. Now we need the BritRest bobsleigh team to enter in the next Winter Olympics.
Okay, me, Sky, Amira, Tony.
There you go. It's the four-way all over again, isn't it? Yeah. Amira can be the one at the end, the one that pushes you at the start and then jumps in. Because I just like that bit at the end where they jump in. To be honest, I'm always secretly hoping that they fall.
She can be the Sanka of the team. She could be like, no, I want to drive, but really she's one of the back.
Yeah. And I'm always secretly hoping they fall when they do that. When they do the jump, I'm like, it would be funny if they missed.
Yeah.
Of course you're the driver. You've got to be the driver, right?
Yeah, I'm the driver, yeah.
Love it.
Tony and Sky can argue where they want to go.
I feel like the 2 and the 3 get very little respect. You know what I mean? You're just there. You're just there to make up the number.
It's like when people play Monopoly and the car. Like,
the top hat's the best.
The top hat's the best?
Yeah, in Monopoly, you want to be the top hat. I'm always the top hat.
In that case, I'm the top hat.
Well, that's just outrageous. Come on. Then I'll be the car. That's fine. We'll switch.
Yeah.
Neither of us can be the one we want.
No.
That's fair. That's fair.
In that case, we need to renegotiate.
Oh my god, Monopoly is just a game full of negotiating, and it never ends well.
No.
Like, Monopoly is the ultimate, like, I feel like that's no one has ever done that. That's the perfect villain arc for a story, like the prequel. Like, the villain is born just out of a game of Monopoly that ends the way every game of Monopoly does. I love it.
Cool.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, I think that's a lovely place to end. Riley, thank you so much for coming on the Grapple Theory podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I really have. It's been so much fun to just take an hour and a half of my day to just talk and just, go on a tangent about literally anything. Anything can happen here. I think that's what I like about the podcast. Like, we can end up talking about anything. We've had very mixed conversations. We've talked about, Star Wars,
Power Rangers, bobsledding.
Bobsledding. That is such a weird combination.
That's the standout one. That's the one that I think is a little different from the others.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
But I love it, and I think it brings us nicely to the end of the chat. I'm really glad you had a good time. Genuinely, from myself, it's been really cool to see like what you've been up to this year, and I really hope that trajectory continues for you in the next year and beyond.
So
because
much.
like
I've actually got a show this weekend.
Nice. I mean, this will go out. This will go out after that. So
yeah,
you need a show in 2 weekends' time for this to make sense.
Yeah, but, I just had a show just gone 2 weeks ago.
Very good. There we go. It's all sorted.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see what you've been doing. It's really cool to like see this trajectory you're on, and genuinely like really hoping for big things for you, because like it really seems like you're on that path.
Thank you so much. I mean, I really hope the next time I'm on Purpose, if I'm on Purpose, that you're there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on Purpose, I'll probably be there, because I love Purpose. They're doing great work.
I love that.
So I'll probably be there.
I'd love to be back there.
But, I mean, that bleeds on perfectly to the way we end the show, which is always by giving our guests one final bit of promo time. So whether it's at Purpose, or at Wrestle Island, or at UBW, or anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, wherever you might be wrestling, if someone sees Riley, the NBF, on a match poster, comes to the show, sees you in action, why are you going to steal the show?
You're not going to... Just when you think you know what you're about to see is completely wrong. If you're thinking you're going to get some, sassy gay person in a pink, in the smallest pink boxes possible, if you think you're going to get a little high-flying baby face, you're not. You're going to get the meanest, most disrespectful person in that ring. Doesn't matter if you're a heel, doesn't matter if you're a face, man, woman, in between or beyond. I'm going to kick your jaw off. You might want to book a dentist appointment in advance, but at the end of the day, when it boils down to it, win or lose, you're going to remember who I am.